We are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with breakdown number 1 on the week, and it is a big one. It is the Cage Warriors from O2 Arena, Cage Warriors 141. And with me, as always, is Lewis of Norton MMA. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, not bad with our special guest. It's always better.
And special guest, which I actually, don't usually do this. I usually don't advertise special guests, aka fighters, because we know their schedules are a little weird and everything, but I had faith in this veteran of the sport. If you've been a fan of the sport, especially on that side of the pond, I'm American, obviously. You know Brad Wheeler, veteran, Cage Warriors veteran of so many other organizations. It'd be too long to count off. But how you doing, Brad?
Cheers. Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Cheers for having
me. Thank you so much for coming on, Lewis, and you. I know are good mates, as you say, or friends that I say over here. But yeah, super appreciate it. We're going to do things a little different today. Still breaking down the card. Brad's definitely has some very, very good knowledge to provide, particularly on the main card. And Brad, life of a fighter, he's got things coming up later in the day. So we're going to do the main card, go through some of the other fighters or matchups Brad wants to point out, and then Lewis and I will do the undercard after the main card here. Timestamps as always, but same breakdowns as always. Forgot to do the screen share here, but we're gonna jump in here to the main card. Really appreciate you coming on, Brad. Means a lot. So go O2 Arena, which is huge, and because it's huge, why not have 15 fights on the card? As I said, we're starting on the main card, but the prelims are going to be a lot of fun to talk about. This main card, probably the best main card so far of the year for Cage Warriors, would you say? Or would you say there's been a better one, Lewis?
Not this year. It's one of the best I've seen, to be honest, ever. To be honest, yeah.
I mean, when you have a Cage Warriors lightweight champion starting out your main card here in Sodari, taking on Mike Figalac. The Figalac brothers, mainstays at this point in Cage Warriors, hopefully for a long time. I'm a huge fan of Cage Warriors being able to hang on to some of their bigger talent a little bit longer and really let them develop. But what are your kind of thoughts on this fight, Brad? And I'll or do you want me to kind of set up the breakdown first and then go?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead and set it up here. I always just never want to step on, the toes, but yeah, I'll set it up here. So Mike Figalac, Mad Dog, only 7-0, but it's a very, very good 7-0. I'll say that his amateur career also quite developed here. You'll see a lot of very good names. Jack Shore is on there. I saw the war, Ricky Simon in the chat there. Congratulations to Kelly on that big hit on Ricky. I know he was on Ricky all week. But as a pro, the Oban Elliott fight started off the Cage Warriors run, and he's looked just very, very good. Last two coming by decision, but over good levels of competition. The way he's able to kind of walk down larger opponents like Stevie McIntosh in that fight. I mean, the entire 3 rounds, he kept a good forward pressure, good mixing it up, going with the takedowns when he needed to, which might be a little bit more tricky here against Augie. But honestly, I think that there's just a physicality difference between these two guys. Augie likes to fight in a very particular type of tempo, and that's pretty low tempo. When you start to pick up the pace, when you start to pick up the overall action, he likes to kind of control the pace. So, the lower significant strike type of rounds, I would like Augie here. But it's all about who's able to keep the pace. Augie has 18 fights as a pro, though. 7-0 versus 18-0. The win over Nascimento coming in versus MMA to get back on the right track. That Joe McLaughlin fight, pretty similar to how I think Mike will look to take this fight. What are your kind of thoughts on this, Brad? And then I'll go over to Lewis, and I'll alternate back and forth, kind of to let you guys kind of give your thoughts. Brad, what's your thoughts on this fight? The young guy versus the up and comer here.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, obviously, Augie's more experienced with a 5-rounder fight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe the deeper it goes, it might favor him, through having that experience of already being in longer fights. Yeah. Like I said, Mad Dog's on a bit of a streak at the moment, and only losses at amateur to guys like Jack Shaw, which is no shame in that. Do you know what I mean? It is a very, very close fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know obviously Augie's got the more experience and he's the champion, but is he the champion?
This is a former champ, so this is a 3-round fight. This is opening up he lost to Joe McLaughlin. He got choked out in the 3rd round. And that's the part that's kind of interesting, just to bounce back to you, is I do agree as the experience, but we saw in 3 rounds him really starting to wilt once that pace was picked up. It does look like a little bit of a gas tank issue, at least from that last fight. And then you have a flying knee knockout pretty quickly in the last fight against a much lower level than I think Mike Figalac's at. So that's kind of my interest in Mike going the distance in these last 2 after those quick finishes to start off his career is encouraging to me.
Yeah, you know what? It's wanted man.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry. If you have to step off, don't even worry about it.
This is my time right now. I mean,
appreciate you making the time here.
That's fun, mate. Yeah, so I think it's a bit of a pick 'em fight. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
He's because you could say the experience might favour him, but like you said in the last fight, got guillotined in the 3rd.
Yeah.
You know, you could say maybe Mike's not had that, you know, but, you know, he's a young up-and-coming fighter. He's going to be fit. He's going to be ready for the 5 rounds. Yeah, he's only 7-0, but he's got amateur pedigree as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You never know. Like, Augie might fade as the fight goes on. I know he's been in 5 rounds.
And honestly, you don't even have to make a prediction. That's actually quite helpful from a perspective because I have odds that have freshly come out. We were going to do this regardless today, but luckily the odds literally came out within the last hour. And right now, that I kind of expected this. Mike Figalac is a -250 favorite, which is 2.5 to 1 over at your side. So the odds makers in the States have doubted Augie here.
Yeah,
pretty significantly. He's a 2-to-1 underdog.
If I was betting, I'd probably bet on Mike.
Okay, even at that price, the 2.5 to 1. Because that means like they're expecting about over, 60 to 65% of the time it's Mike who's winning the fight. Do you think it's about in that range of 6 out of 10 to 7 out of 10?
Like if Augie comes out and just some flash quick knockout, then is it?
Yeah, but that's not Augie's game so far. We've seen in Cage Warriors, aside from the last fight against a 11-7 journeyman in versus.
But it's a 3-rounder though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, it's 3 rounds.
I don't know. His gas tank might last him. You know what I mean?
Oh man, and Kelly is sprinkling Augie, meaning he's gonna put a light bet on Augie. When you can get a former Cage Warriors lightweight champ, and then we'll let Lewis take over here. But when you can get a former Cage Warriors lightweight champion at 2 to 1 against a so relatively untested as a pro.
No, in that sense, yeah. Like if you want to win money, you're better off putting a bit on Augie because. Mm-hmm. Being the
Thank you. That's perfect. That's exactly. That's in the betting game. Sometimes you're betting.
Yeah, you bet Augie.
Exactly. Yeah. So so the cool thing about this channel is we always blend the two. So you can come from any perspective. We appreciate them all. And your perspective as a fighter. So as a fighter, how would you feel about going in there with like a young up and comer who is highly expected to pretty much put you away? How would you feel in that position? I'm curious. Or do you even look at it that way? Am I adding romanticism to the game because I'm not a fighter and I don't know how this really works?
You know what? I like them sort of fights because
exactly. So you
makes me want to
raise your game.
Yeah, like show
that this kid isn't gonna take your spot. You're not over the hill yet.
Yeah. Exactly that.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So Augie's only 29 years old too. Let's remember that 29 years old. Augie, 29-year-old former lightweight champion. Now they have him on the beginning of the main card saying, if you lose this fight, we might not have you back, or you're going to be on the prelims after being a champion 2 fights.
That's mad.
There's a lot of things I'm liking in the betting on Augie's side here, honestly. What do you think, Lewis? And then, well, this is an interesting fight.
I think 3 rounds favors Augie, definitely.
Yes.
But Mike's riding momentum and his confidence is higher than ever. He's not really losing rounds either. He's winning complete fights, shutting them out. They may be decisions, but he's cleaning them out pretty much decisively. I think Augie's game plan is the same as always. It's going to be a grind fest and it's work at his own pace. If he can get Mike to fight at his pace, I think Augie can do some damage. He can get him to the floor. but I don't see it happening. Mike just puts on a really high volume, high pace the whole time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Fight,
bet.
though.
I wouldn't bet on Mike personally from a perspective of your audience. But if it's an official pick, I would pick Mike all day in this fight.
Yeah.
I just think he's the up and comer, and he's looking so damn good. And he's had 11 amateur fights. He's had the losses in those times. His 7-0 isn't really 7-0, is it? It's it's a ridiculous.
It's a really interesting fight for sure from both perspectives. And
it's a great fight though.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a huge fight for Augie. I'm surprised Augie's only 29.
I think full pressure. I disagree in the comments. I think the pressure is actually with Augie because he was the champion. They're expecting him to go out and get rid of Mike now. Take away the O because he's had to fight in other organizations. Graham's not.
It's going to be a really good.
He's got a great win over Jack Grant. Even though I thought he lost the fight, he has got a win over Jack Grant.
Yeah, he's competitive. Definitely. And
I had Brad another guy still as well.
Yep, absolutely. We'll move on to the next fight, and this is a fight that I know that there's a little bit of interest in, to say the least. Not only from me, but from some of the people who are talking on the show here. Darren Stewart versus Mick Stanton. I'm not gonna set this one up. I'm gonna allow Brad to set this up however he likes, and then I'll add the details afterwards. Brad.
Well, I know Darren very, very well. We're training partners for a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah, and you can leave out any details you need as a training partner, of course.
But I was watching Mike Stanton last night. He does bring some problems for Darren, but if you've seen with Darren before, when he's on the fence, he comes back and he performs. He needs a win right now. He's changed gyms now. He's at London Shoot Fighters. From what I'm seeing and hearing, I think he'll get the W. But it is an interesting fight because that Mike Stanton's not no mug. He got cut open bad in. Who did he fight? He got cut open bad and he come back and stopped him in the second round. Not like he wasn't even losing. He wasn't losing the fight, I don't think.
Yeah,
he got cut open bad. But
Alexis Fontes,
yeah. And
up and coming there.
I was very impressed with his scrambling, his transitions, his movement, his ground ability and everything. But the guy who's fighting, he's not Darren. Darren's very strong, very powerful, and he needs this win. So I feel he'll do what he needs to do to get the win. And I think he'll be able to do it. And depending on how the fight goes, you could see Darren get a stoppage, maybe second or third, maybe because I think he's gonna. I think the pressure's on Darren here. He's just been released from the UFC. He's coming back to Cage Warriors. So for Mike, it's a big fight. It's a big name. It's a big scout for him. So the pressure's on Darren, but I feel like Darren performs under pressure. So I'm putting my money on Darren for a stoppage, but I don't know which round.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really interesting fight. I'm a huge fan of Darren. I got to meet him in Boston after his UFC fight in Boston, which I'm blanking on who he beat there, but it's a great guy first and foremost. And I really like that he's coming back down to 185. 205 was a very, very tough go of it. This type of guys he was going at in that division. And I do think that he's more of a natural middleweight, in my opinion. So that's going to be very interesting. It's always interesting when you got a guy with 3 straight losses coming against a guy on a little bit of a run, and Mick Stanton. Obviously, Stanton had his kind of low points within Cage Warriors, but against good competition. I think that the difference is going to be that Mick is going to be willing to kind of trade with Darren in this fight. I think for Mick to win this fight, it's got to be very, very grindy, and and it's just I think Mick. I just haven't seen that Mick fighting lately. I've seen Mick fighting willing to go into the fire and believe that his iron is stronger, sharper than his opponents. And I mean, in this fight, I also think even if you try to grind a guy like Darren, that's what Darren's been working on for the last 5
of course
years, because that's how you beat him.
Yeah, he'll be training ready for this guy. You think the last time, he had like coming off a bit of a losing streak, he fought Eric Spicely.
Right.
That's very good. Like I trained with Eric Spicely when I was in TriStar.
Yeah.
Very, very good high level jiu-jitsu. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And and he stuck to the game plan and he stopped him in the second. You know what I mean? So, like I said,
Mick and Eric have some similarities to them. Their games also in a lot of ways, where they're very high level grapplers who are willing to go into the fire, and it's how they get burned in their losses. So I don't have a doubt that Darren's going to be ready for this. I do think Cage Warriors I just don't think you go from the UFC and look, oh, you're at Cage Warriors, like you're not motivated. Cage Warriors is so very, very high level, huge stage. And I mean, I know that Mick's going to be chatting at the weigh-ins. He always is. So definitely
Darren will be chatting. Darren will be chatting.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing both talk back and forth. I think now Darren doesn't have the shackles of the UFC kind of brass. Now he can just have a little more fun in there, get back to what he's got 8 losses. He's not new to losing in MMA. MMA losses are a part of the game in MMA. So it's not, I think that going from a Jacoby and Eric Anders to a Mick Stanton type of level, I don't think he's going to view it that way, but I do think it's a little bit of a step down while, still very, very, challenging fight. So I like Darren in this spot. I think Darren puts him away as well. Let's go second round.
As well. Before those fights as well at 205, where he was very undersized. Eric Anders looked like a heavyweight. Yeah. And Dustin Jacoby on an absolute roll.
And that Holland fight, Darren
he won that fight. I've said this so many times. He finished that fight beating the shit out of him on the ground.
Yep.
Like
in the first Anders fight he won until the knee.
Yeah.
Exactly. He like that first Anders fight is what convinced me to pick him in the second one. I was like, that was such an impressive win till it was. Then but again, Eric Anders a little bit bigger here. So
yeah. No, Darren is faster, more powerful, more motivated. He's looking ridiculous shape, and he also was meant to fight on the last Cage Warriors, wasn't he? And his fight got cancelled again, so I bet he's fucking pissed off as well. He's had to wait so long to get this going. So I don't see any way Mick's going to stand with him. If he stands with him, it'll be over in 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes.
I think also as well with the grindy side of it, I feel like where he's just been fighting at 205 to now be fighting back at 185. I don't think. He's physically a very strong person, Darren.
Yep. Yeah, no, I don't have a doubt here. The odds makers don't either. Minus 350 on Darren Stewart, and that price will be rising. I think
he'll look like an evolved version of what he looked before the UFC. I think where he was just sparking everybody. That's
yeah.
And also,
a
lot of people have complained about his grappling, and then I think he turned that switch off when he submitted Maki Bartolo as well. Showed that he legitimately does have.
Who was the wrestler he fought that couldn't take him down? The little stocky guy from was he from AKA? I think maybe.
Who's that?
So the last
Darren Wynn. Is that Darren Wynn?
Darren Wynn. Yep, and again looked really good there. He looked good against Edmund Shabazian, where he did use his wrestling and got I think like 5 or 6 takedowns against Edmund. He really showed Derek Brunson how to beat Edmund Shabazian, even though Derek regardless. But at one point that was high level. The Bartosz Fabinski fight. That's how Mick has to fight the entire fight to win.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I know obviously it happened to everyone, but with that fight, he had a change of opponent last minute.
Yeah, it was a COVID. It was like that COVID UFC Cage Warrior thing.
It was lockdown, and so I don't know where he's. I mean, obviously the other geezers in the fight as well, not like making excuses for him, but
no, not at all.
It was a messed up situation going into that fight.
Yeah, no, and so I'm just looking forward to seeing Darren get back in there. I do like him in this fight by knockout. We're on to one of the 2 championship fights, the flyweight championship fight. Then we have Jim Wallhead to speak about before, but Sam Creasy versus Dylan Azan here. This is a fantastic fight, really high level, good flyweights here, good, definitely good skill levels for these 2. And let me just type in that time real quick. And all right. So Sam Creasy. Go ahead. What?
It's an interesting fight.
Yeah. This is definitely interesting.
Dylan's on a tear at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. Dylan is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's undefeated, 8-0. The Italian wrestling scene standing up strong here in Cage Warriors all of a sudden.
There's a few of them, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, this guy is one of the biggest hopes here. His last fight was against the Brazilian Raimson Bruno, and I mean, he made him quit. And not only that, but he was handcuffing him behind his back for the whole round, beating his head in. I mean, it was a pretty controlling, dominating wrestling. Which
would you say it was 10-8 in him pretty convincingly?
10-7 probably.
10-7, yeah.
Like, I mean, that's like close to a 10-7 to be honest. I mean, when you're holding their hand and hit it looking like a WWF or WWE style, like he just kept hitting them. Yeah. and then Mark Goddard had to come over and ask him, "Do you want to fight?" And he goes, "Nope." And Mark Goddard's like, "Okay, like we're done." Like he looked right at him and said no after 5 minutes. So I mean, that was a decent level of opponent. Scott Malone, a guy who I really respect the fight before that, I think was a hugely important fight because Dylan had to see how to get through a fight when the wrestling isn't going to be working. Scott made him work throughout that fight. Respect to Scott Malone. I always will. Big fan of him. Josh Reed, very good win there. So, I mean, he's passing all of his, tests so far in Cage Warriors. As an amateur, is one fight undefeated. So, high level grappler. If you decide to grapple him, it's not going to throw him off. Not that Sam Creasy's going to. Sam Creasy's all about, the movement here, but I think one thing that I'm kind of interested in is how he responds to that knockout. This is for the flyweight championship. So at 34 years old, coming off a first round knockout at the beginning of the year, he allowed for time to recover. So I do like that. But, for me, it's can Dylan get the takedowns? I hate to make it that simple, but I think Dylan getting those takedowns in the first round will result in him getting the takedowns throughout the 5 rounds. I think if he struggles early, we might be able to see Sam get into a little bit of a rhithm. I'm just not sure if he's going to be able to hurt him enough. So what's your thoughts on this, Brad?
I think, you know what, I like Sam. Obviously, I know Sam. I've known him for a long time, but I think I might pick Dylan in this because he's coming off a knockout loss. He hasn't fought for a
bad knockout loss too.
Against Shanks. And if Dylan can get in his face straight away, like I've had it before. When you get put down in the fight, when I got dropped by Scott Clist, the next fight I went into, the first round I wanted to just grapple. I went until the second round that I start striking. And if he's a bit too cautious of the striking, I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan is able to throw enough strikes to just get into clinch range and take him down and start I know it's a 5-rounder, but if he starts the pace well, then Sam will fight catch up. Do you know what I mean? And so he might come back into it a bit too late. Once he gets comfortable being in the cage, taking shots again after coming off that loss. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But then on the other side of things, he could, could be good. Could be mentally prepared already. Like just from personal experience, like what you do is you have a little bit of doubt in your head after that's happened. Like you think to yourself, if I get caught on the chin again, will I go down again? And you have to take a couple of shots in the fight before you think, oh no, I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? Because sparring is different fighting. When you got the 4-ounce gloves on, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah. That's an incredible insight there. That's the kind of insight that I'm not going to be able to provide. Lewis can hardly, if at all. So that's a really fascinating kind of mindset to be in there. And I mean, we saw in the last fight with Dylan how he responded when his opponent surprised him with the grappling. Like he rolled with it, he scrambled with it. He's like, "All right, you might get the better of me for the first minute, but he's a wrestler who's not uncomfortable scrambling off his back to get it to where he needs to get it." That in the calf slicer that was put on him, or whatever that was, the knee separator that Bruno had in there was absolutely nasty. And you didn't. But the thing about Dylan is his only knockouts are, I believe, 1 or 2 by ground and pound. So he doesn't exactly. This might be a spot where Sam does feel a little more confident. Do you look at your opponent's finishing rates and stuff like that and feel like, oh, he's got no knockout, or is that something again that I do as somebody who doesn't?
No, it depends though. Like
if you were going into this fight here, coming off a knockout, but your opponent had only a knockout win by ground and pound, wrestler decisions, or like arm triangles.
Thing is though, if you took the fight with Dylan, you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know what the
Right,
game plan is. It's sprawl and brawl, isn't it? Stay long, pick them apart, footwork, angles, movement.
Mhm.
But then he might be confident enough to think Dylan's not going to knock me out. All I've got to do is stay on my toes and move.
Keep the hands a little lower to dig for the underhooks, and then he surprises you with the overhand, and there's his first standing knockout type of thing. This is a great fight
as well. You look at like Masvidal, what's it? Usman too, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was just waiting for the takedown.
The first fight, the second fight, I think he's thinking about the takedown too much. Boom, second round knocks him out.
Yeah. Well said.
You know what I mean?
Lewis, do you have anything to add to this? I really appreciate that, Brad. That's great insight.
No, I think that's a really good point. Don't focus too much on what the opposition is going to do. Just work your own game, push it through. You know, Sam's game is his striking. It's high level. You know, he can tippy tap around people. You see if you follow him on social media, you can see he's always training. He's constantly in incredible shape. He's never really getting out. But you're getting someone here that, again, it's the momentum, isn't it? The confidence he's going to have making someone quit in his last fight here with Dylan. Like, I don't know. Sam's one hole in his game is when people grind him. The good advantage.
Dylan's a grinder.
And that's his whole game. It's not to be fancy. It's not to win over the crowd. It's nothing like that. It's
Italian wrestling on the map.
100%. Sam Creasy's got the advantage of going 5 rounds. He's got an incredible gas tank. So can Dylan hang with his pressure, his volume? Because, you know, he's not a knockout artist, Sam, but he can finish. It always is in the third and the fourth when he gets those finishes, mainly the third rounds. He's got excellent neck attacks. So you wouldn't be surprised if you see him try and, you know, work that kind of game plan. If Dylan's going in, leaves his head exposed, he snatches the neck and rolls. It's a super, you know, I'm not saying he's going to necessarily get the neck, but it might negate those takedowns from, you know, might make Dylan think 1 or 2 more times before actually diving in straight for the legs this time. Because he knows if I dive in, I'm going to get my neck snatched and I'm going to have to defend that straight away instead of going straight for a takedown.
I just think it's all about the rhythm of those first 2 rounds. If Sam's able to, if you're seeing a 1-10 type of Dylan in the first 2 rounds, I think Sam takes the decision all day long. I think he starts to really, you know. But if you're seeing it over the 50, it's like over under 50% on those takedowns type of thing almost. Or if the control time is, you know, in that 4-minute range.
Who can impose their game plan? You know what I mean?
It's very,
Sam versus Shanks, the first fight though, Sam looked incredible. Sam looked great. Yeah. And which is why I picked him in that second fight, and then he just didn't even show up. He just looked something was out of place mentally, I think, with him, because he looked physically great, but it wasn't there.
This could be a spot where I think a lot of people could cash on Sam because the odds are heavily in Dylan's favor. -205 currently, +165 on Sam.
And Dylan's only fought, I would say, 3, you know, worthy names to even be on the same.
Scott Malone's good.
Scott's good. Josh Reed's really good.
Josh Reed.
I mean, I rate both of them guys.
Yep.
But before that, he's fighting guys, Brad, that are like 1 win, 2 losses, making their debuts. So
Reed's a vet. Reed's becoming a bit of a vet. Oh, crazy!
Yeah, he is.
This is the big test though, right here. But then again, it's for the championship. It should be a tough one. So it should be a good fight. But we're on. I'm on Dylan. I believe all 3 of us are on Dylan. If we had to pick,
no, I'm going Sam. I can't.
You are going Sam.
I'm going Sam.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Sam.
I like it. Okay. All right.
It's more head and heart.
Hey,
I want Sam to win.
And I won't speak for Brad. I'll just
Let's
go
stop
Dylan.
these Italian wrestlers.
I'll stay on the fence.
That's fair. Hey,
that's
good
fair.
fight to
That's
stay on the fence for. I got Dylan. Come at me in the comments.
I'm going to be biased in this next fight.
Speaking of part, we're probably all going to be biased in this next fight.
Yeah.
The legend versus Daniel Scabinski. Let's just be honest here. We're here because Jim Wallhead, absolute legend of MMA. You know, I got introduced to him. I don't even know what organization I was watching on some grainy footage, but there's this crazy judokan bald man who was just going wild. And I've really enjoyed him. But Brad, what are your thoughts kind of on Jim here and everything and this final fight here?
Unites him and knocks him out.
If Jimmy does win, Brad, does he take your record or does he not?
Do you know what?
Brad's got the current record for the most appearances and most wins.
Right? I have the most fights in Cage Warriors history, yeah?
Yeah.
By entering the cage, like win or lose, he's level with me. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so it'll be
So you
joint.
guys got to fight in Cage Warriors again.
Wait,
You got
do
to
you know
go
what?
to
I have to
0-2.
double check it. Like,
You're gonna have to fight Jimmy.
Yeah. And I mean, look at where they're putting Jim Wallhead. They're putting him in the co-main event. So with Brad Wheeler.
I think that's wrong. I think they can't put him above a title fight.
Do you think maybe that's Tapology screwing up the order?
I think that's
okay.
unfair,
I was gonna say they really love Jim Wallhead.
Yeah, Jimmy main event over all the
Like,
time.
jeez, he might not even be on the main card.
yeah, I think when I was looking into it, I think just by entering the cage, he either is now drawing with me for most fights with Cage Warriors, or this fight puts him over. But I think actually, when I was looking into the stats of it, I think actually he has one more win or two more wins than me. So I hold most fights, he holds most wins.
You knocked him out. That's way more important. But do you like, what do you think about in this fight? It seems like, I mean,
Daniel's coming off a few losses, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd go with Judo Jim quite comfortably with this fight.
It does seem like this seems like a setup fight, right, Lewis? Or am I being crazy?
Well, you say that. I'm pretty sure Daniel's the favorite. Like, a lot of people I know are backing Daniel, it surprises me, to be honest, because Jimmy's never looked better.
Yeah,
Jim Wallhead's a 2-1 underdog.
He looks fucking amazing, and he's obviously training with Darren at Shoot Fighters. He's back and forth with Hardy Wallhead and Shoot Fighters, and he's just all the young guys at that gym is just, they're pushing everyone to the limit.
I wasn't blown away by Scabinski against Burlinson either, who Burlinson's shown to be quite sloppy and I just not quite
Jim's fought everywhere. Nothing's going to surprise him. He knows what he's doing. He's got his game plan.
Who's this crowd going to be behind?
Mate, you know
Jimmy. Crowd will be behind Jim.
Right, the Polish guy or Judo Jim Wallhead. Like, this crowd is going to be acting like this is the co-main event.
But you think of his team as well. You know, he's got Hardy in his corner. So you think of how much the crowd plays a part. I know with you, Brad, as well. You always work the crowd. Everyone loved you. So it's that sort of how much momentum you get from
I really want to see Brad versus Jim again in Cage Warriors. I'm sorry. I want to see it one more time here down the line. But hey, I know you'll fight anybody.
I'll fight anybody. I'll fight Jim, but I haven't fought him.
Oh, you hadn't? I thought you
said he needs to fight him.
God, why did I think? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that fight doesn't.
That's why your paths must have crossed, but no.
No. I've never mentioned Burleson. Man has lost so much. Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, this is the spot where all of us are on the underdog here. He's a sizable underdog at plus 205 to minus 265. Daniel Scabinski. I mean, even when I go through Scabinski's record, I wasn't super blown away with him again against Burlinson. Before that, he was knocked out. So he's been knocked out and choked out his last two fights.
Have you seen the competition he faced at Babylon?
Yeah, well, yeah, the competition on Babylon, I'll just go through the records for Babylon. 4-3, 4-2. Then he beat Davi Galan, so that's a huge win. It's a good win. Genie Malelo. So, he definitely upped it as he went along. He's had a high level of, competition here. So, I mean, honestly, his record is not bad at all, but I just think there's a certain stage where Scabinski's not been showing that, both in UAE and Cage Warriors. There seems to be a little bit of a drop-off. And I think it being in London, I'm going to take a shot on Judo Jim Wallhead.
Let's go, Jim.
Really good in the last fight.
I think you got to think Judo Jim's fought everywhere, right? So he's fighting in London, in England.
In O2 Arena.
He's going to have the home crowd. Yep. He ain't got to travel far. Yep. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's Cage Warriors, he's comfortable there. I think everything's in his corner to win. Yep. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. That's what you want with your underdogs.
He's never looked better.
That sort of crowd there for me and Jim. If I was in Jim's shoes, I'd be pumped for this fight.
Double the amount of fights here. I definitely like this one for Jim a lot. I know that you got to go here soon, Brad. So we'll go through the main event here and then allow you to kind of talk about any other fighters. But we'll make this one pretty quick. But I'm very excited for this one for the vacant lightweight title here. Kyle Driscoll versus George Hardwick. We both are huge fans of the Hardwick brothers, Lewis and I. Very, very impressive, both of them. They're very, different ways. I personally am more a fan of how George fights. I really, I respect both guys, though. But Kyle Driscoll is an absolute grinder, a.k.a. all through and through. He's been a little bit inactive over the last few years, but still only 28 years old, going against a 25-year-old in George Hardwick. 9-1 is George here. His loss coming to Medeiros Flaminius back in his fifth fight.
That's no shame there.
Yeah, Medeiros, taught him the lesson that Medeiros taught a lot of guys. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, definitely no shame there. Beating guys in Bellator. Nico Solili over in Europe, that's definitely a good win. Dean Truman putting him away the way he did, and that's impressively with Cage Warriors. His return to Cage Warriors has been really sharp. He's been looking pretty unstoppable, going up against just an absolute grinder and wrestler in Kyle Driscoll. He won on the Contender Series against Dennis Paiva. Just didn't look that impressive, but I mean, he just has a way of controlling and sticking to his opponents. It's just how he's going to fight most fights. Joshua Jones came in pretty overweight, I believe, by 5 pounds for that fight.
Yeah.
He just controlled him with the wrestling throughout the fight. It was Cage Warriors over in California. So I believe this will be Kyle's European debut. So that could be something to look into. LFA vet as well. Good power on the feet, but I mean, he's going to look to pin you against the cage, hold you against the cage, get you down, rinse and repeat that. I personally think that George Hardwick's going to be very ready for that kind of game. Nasty knees, nasty ways of keeping you off him. And Kyle really has one game plan. It's to grapple, and when that doesn't work, to grapple some more. I just think stand-up wise, George is miles ahead there. And if Kyle's just going to have to wrestle for 25 minutes. And that, I think, even if he's successful early on, I'm kind of going against what I said in the fight with Azan here, where I think even if he wrestles, Kyle has success early. I don't think he's going to be able to keep that pace for 25 minutes, and I don't think he's going to have success. I think George is the real deal here, and George becomes champ. I could definitely see a knee to the body starting, the end of the, some sort of a knee starting to beginning the end here, because Kyle really does lower his head for those takedowns, leaves his body and his and he's going to keep going to that. So the only way Kyle wins, I think, is wrestling, and he's got a real nice record. He's been inactive. George has been looking better than ever since coming back to Cage Warriors. Extremely confident, great corner. George Hardwick KO for me somewhere in the fight.
George Hardwick KO, hell yeah.
Hardwick.
Yep. What are your thoughts on George overall, Brad?
He's very impressive. Dean Truman, he done him with a body shot as well, didn't he?
Body shot to crumple a veteran in Dean Truman.
Yeah.
Dean's good as well.
Yeah, exactly. I rate Dean. Dean's good. I think George, unless, I don't know, he gets wrestle fucked for
that's
5
Kyle
rounds.
Driscoll does that to a lot of guys, but not at this level.
Like either I find George finds a way to get the finish, or it will be a wrestle fuck. But I don't think George will let that happen.
George's defensive wrestling as well is very high.
Yeah,
he's not a typical English wrestler, is he?
I think he'll do enough wrestling defense and attacking offense to get the finish. I think maybe because if Kyle is just constantly wrestling, same thing over and over again, George's not dumb. He'll set something up, like whether it's a knee, whether it's a punch, like as he'll time it. Do you know what I mean? He'll time that shot, he'll time the takedown, he'll time the level change.
It's good distance striking too. Once he gets into his rhythm with his striking as well.
Yeah. I'll pick George in this fight.
I feel you on that. Lewis, I know you're going to go with George, but how threat? Like I'm even going to be like, are you going with that? Yeah, but
no. I also think
you
George
feel Kyle's a legit threat here.
He's definitely a legit threat, yeah. And but one of the things I don't like what Kyle does is where he does, when you grind someone against the cage, you're trying to get the unders and you're just trying to trip them down to the floor when you're not successful with just like say double leg normally. Yeah. George does an excellent elbow out of the clinch. He's like signature. Straight away, as soon as that clinch breaks, he makes you pay for it. If you go for something, as Brad said, he's going to set you up. You did that. I've got that read now. You're not defending it over and over. He'll just absolutely hammer him to that bit. I agree with you, though. When he goes in for those takedowns, it's not sloppy, but it's relentless. And that's where George is going to put a nice knee up the middle, straight to the chest. It'll be telegraphed. When, like, nothing about Kyle is an explosive movement. It's just grinding. And that's how he wears you down and finishes you by the end. And tries to get those necks. George is really good on the ground. Him and his brother are so underrated with grappling because they do such good work on the feet. Very well-rounded mixed martial artists, and he's so young as well. and he looks so improved every time. It's like a notch up.
His last 3 for George have just been another level.
Work
of
the body, slow them down, grind them out.
Always works the body.
That's the worst thing Kyle's going to want is his body touched. Because if he's going for that grinding 5-rounder, he's going to be out.
He needs that. He's going to be put that water in the basement early, get the knockout late.
I think George 3rd, 4th round.
Yeah, and right now, as the odds are opening, George is a minus 200 favorite, 2-1 favorite. I think that's fair. I think that once it gets into 3 range, I'm getting nervous, but I'm still okay putting in parlays at minus 200. I am personally, but yeah, it's one of these where you're going against a grinder, you get nervous when it's a minus 200. Yeah, and then George fought Medeiros for me. Oh yeah, Kelly, you can go back and watch all of George's fights. They're all on UFC Fight Pass from Cage Warriors. So he's a good watch, but should be a good one. Brad's gonna have to go here in a minute.
Yeah,
but,
I was gonna say that I don't think I'm gonna have time to do the.
No, don't worry about it. Is there anybody you want to give a quick shout out to? Yeah,
I'll shout out my picks now. Adam Amasinger, Kingsley Crawford, and Petley ain't fought for a few years, but Steve, that's a good fight, Petley.
Isn't that?
Yeah. That's a very good fight, but I'll go with Steve on that one.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh yeah, Amasinger, Kingsley, and Aimable for my picks on the prelims. But thanks for having me on, boys.
Brad, absolutely. Thank you for making the time.
Cheers,
I know
Brad,
you gotta go. Shout out to Brad Wheeler. We'll plug all your socials and everything at the end when people are going to be listening for that. But you're welcome on anytime, my friend. We're going to continue to follow you along, and I'll get that in. We'll get it trending. Wallhead versus Wheeler, especially after he went on a main card. Then let's get Wallhead Wheeler to pop off the next London main card. But seriously, the comments are thank you as well. Thank you. You're always welcome.
Take McKee's belt, and then I'll let Jim fight me for it.
There we go, my man, Brad. Have a great day, my friend. Take care.
Brother. Take care.
Peace.
Cheers, Brad.
Man, what a dude. Really appreciate you making that happen, Lewis. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening.
Back in 2 seconds, sir.
Yeah,
continue set up the next one.
Yeah, I'll kill the time for a minute. But yeah, we're gonna start the prelims here. Glad that Brad could make it on. I thought particularly his insight on the Sam Creasy fight was really, really fascinating. So kind of hear how you respond to a knockout and everything. That's just the kind of insight I'm never going to be able to provide. So I really appreciate him coming on. He got the rhythm really quick. So thank you, everybody, for being welcoming there. We're starting at the prelims now, working our way to the main card, and then we're going to finish out here. But we're starting with a really, really good one, in my opinion. At 170 pounds, let me get my timestamp in here. Give Lewis a chance to get back in a second. But either way, I got no worries here. Lindgren, Alexander Lindgren, the Swedish fighter known as the good guy, 3-1, taking on 3-1 Emil Brown, the Englishman, Cage Warriors vet. Emil Brown at this point won his last fight out for Team Renegade against Dan Hepworth, who came in with a lot of hype and is now 0-2. So knocked him out in the second round. Very, very physically impressive guy, Emil Brown is. For that, lost a split to James Sheehan. We've seen how good James Sheehan has looked. That's a very high-quality split decision to have there, of course. And then before that, 2 guillotine chokes to start out his career. Joshua Anwardi, that was definitely an exciting fight to watch, but 2 guillotine chokes. Showed the power in the last one against Hepworth. Went 1-3 as an amateur. Lost to Fabian Edwards, and a couple other losses there, but definitely looks ready to go as a pro. Really impressive from an athletic perspective. Carol Mcewen was officially supposed to get this fight. I think Carol caught a break because Carol was going to get put away again, I think, by Emil. So Alexander Lindgren, good guy, 3-1. Also huge at 6-1 for the 170 division. 3 straight wins for him. His last fight was against Gunnar Zaryov out of SBG Ireland. He did get taken down quite a bit in that fight early on. And kind of got stuck there. He's a big guy, but when he's put on his back, kind of gets stuck a little bit, turtle on his back syndrome. So that makes me a little nervous. Usually how he avoids that is with his front chokes and things like that. So not sure if that will work against Emil Brown. I think that both these guys are very impressive. I think they stand and bang for this one. I think it could be anybody's fight. I'm going with Emil Brown simply because he has the experience in Cage Warriors, but honestly, Lindgren is going to be physically ready for Emil, which I think often is Emil's downfall. Once you can match him athletically, he can struggle. I think it's going to be a really good fight, though. But I'm going to go with the experience of Emil Brown and Cage Warriors here to edge it out.
Hell yeah, man. I completely agree with what I heard of you since I come back. But yeah, Brown for me, though, I think is way better personally than Lindgren. I like him a lot. I think you're right. Physicality is a major difference here.
Yeah.
But again, Emil is just, from what I've seen, man, like the pro record he got a split against James Sheehan, who is on the up. Like
absolutely.
That to
finishing
me is,
everybody.
Yeah, he really is. And this guy is also a finisher. Josh Morty, I mean, he trains with Brad. You know, dude's an absolute beast. Choked him out real quick. Josh, I think, is a brown belt as well in jiu-jitsu and just got guillotined instantly.
Great fight to watch.
The Dan Hepworth fight was that fight was really exciting for me because I personally had Dan Hepworth. You know, he's a hardy Wallhead guy.
We both picked Dan Hepworth.
Yeah, and he just looked like he didn't belong in there. And I know how good Dan Hepworth is.
He melted Dan Hepworth. He might ruin Dan Hepworth's whole pro career because he might never get that confidence.
I really hope not, but
he might never get that. That was a confidence beatdown. And
yeah, it was.
Finished,
and that's
First
what he does.
He took his confidence, then he took his consciousness. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was. So, Emil Brown for me.
I can't go against Emil after that last performance either. Minus 200 favorite here. So I think that's totally reasonable. Good way to start out the card there. We both like Emil here. But again, you know, Lindgren, big opportunity. He appears very confident.
This next fight is we're both going to really quickly break this down, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it is a battle of undefeated fighters, but we got Luke Riley, one of the best up-and-coming, if not the best up-and-coming striker in MMA, or at least in England, would you say?
For that weight class?
Yeah.
And the experience, 23 years. He's so sharp.
And really good hair. So
really
that's
good
always
hair.
something
he's like a Ken doll, isn't he?
He really is. Look at this guy. He looks like he can't fight. If you didn't know fighting and looked at this guy, you'd be like, that guy can't fight. Look at his little hands but this dude is a beast. He's very confident. Long for the division, 5'9", 23 years old, 7 straight wins next gen MMA. 3 straight as a pro coming, against not a huge level of competition, but Jack Engelin, a legit guy, a very good grappler. Was able to show that he's able to get the fight to be at his level. Simon Kelvin, 1-0, got a quick finish by guillotine. That's great. Fought in May of this year. It was his only fight with YFC against a guy, Mohamed Talagui, who is 0-0. It was in May. I mean, I just think that Luke Riley knocks him out round 1. I think this is a mismatch. Do you have anything to say for Simon? Featherweight, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Riley is just an absolute savage. Remember we said the Jack Eglin fight was a 50-50.
Yep.
Like, Eglin is an up-and-comer savage as well. Just shut him off. Shut him down completely.
And I couldn't find any tape on Simon either, but he had one fight. And it was a quick fight, and I looked up his opponent.
Yeah. I mean,
this is one where we have to make a little bit of but it's also minus 550 for Luke Riley, so we're not putting in a ton of action.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't know.
He should be in everyone's parlay.
Minus 550 sucks though.
If you've got a whole card parlay, he's in it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But it's Luke Riley is the pick here.
He won't be even odds again, or at least a close odds until he fights on the main card.
It'll be a while, but definitely got hype train after hype train here because now we're on to another one. Loner Kavanaugh taking on Ander Sanchez here at 125. Both these guys coming off very exciting last fights. Ander Sanchez surprising everybody, including himself, with that knockout. It sure appeared that way, at least. But, he did what he had to do, and now he's in a huge fight here against Loner Kavanaugh. 3-0 is Kavanaugh as a pro. Another 23-year-old, very, very highly touted. This one on Great Britain top team. Showed the strikes in the last fight against Ryan Morgan, getting into the 3rd round. His other 2 fights just had his way throughout them. Finishes, got a guillotine choke very quick. And then it was his Cage Warriors debut against Ryan Morgan. It's going against another 1-0 guy. Loner Kavanaugh, to me, takes this one relatively easy. Ander Sanchez, I do not want to say he landed a lucky punch, but it seemed a little bit fortunate of a punch for the Spaniard here, 27 years old. But, he's on the regional scene, fought with IMAF as well. Took a few years off, as a matter of fact, 4 years, and came back and got a 30-second knockout. So we don't really know how good Ander is here, how much he's improved with that time off. He had a very successful amateur career, though. You see it going 11-1 until the end, or 10-1 until losing a split decision, but not over anybody with an amateur fight. So Spanish regional, Connor Wilson, had some decent hype coming in, but I didn't really rate Connor too highly. I rate Lohner much higher. I think Lohner takes this one, but maybe Ander is more improved than we realize. Who knows? Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a hard one to get because there's not actually a lot of footage on Spain regional. No. It's really hard to find that sort of thing. But right. I can tell you from first-hand experience from watching Lohner. By the way, he's very small. When he won his fight, he came into the audience and he was like right next to me and Mason Jones for the last fight. We're just standing there watching the rest. Yeah. He's got the longest arms for someone that is 5'4" I've ever seen in my life. He is ridiculously lengthy with like his limbs. So 5'4" is deceptive. It's actually, I think it works in his favor because he's hard to hit because he's quite small, but he actually can hit you pretty convincingly.
He can reach you.
His movement was dynamic. His low calf kicks. He fought like someone with 10 fights in that fight, and he actually did get the finish where he sparked him. He has genuine knockout power for flyweight. He hits damn hard. I mean, what's coming out of Great British Top Team is this kid is going to go far. Like he's going to be in a title fight in a couple of years' time, probably. He's only 23. He looks 23. He's a complete baby face, but I mean, the guys. These sort of guys, the O'Reillys, the Nick Bagleys, the Linnell Kavanaughs, these up-and-comers that are really young, is super exciting, He's born in the 1999, hurts your face. But I think Linnell Kavanaugh is going to pretty much outpace Ander Sanchez. I think from what I've seen of his amateur career of Ander, I think it'll be a decision. I think he is a tough guy. I think he's got really good defense. Offense, I'm with you, fluke of a punch. He was surprised by that punch.
Yeah, he was shocked. He just fell back. They're just talking about Connor had improved his striking too. It was one of those Joe Rogan's. He's improved his striking, and then he's out. Yeah, like out cold basketball style bounce off the head. For the knockout. Kavanaugh minus 360 plus 285 on Ander Sanchez. I will say, UFC betting screen says it well here. There is too many unknowns on Sanchez, but I would be willing to put Lohner in. Parlays, not all of them, but a few. So we'll move on to the next fight here. This is one of my favorite fights on the whole card, if I'm being honest.
I asked my missus how to pronounce his name.
Urholin?
Sorry?
Is it Urholin? Jesse Urholin?
No, you're saying it like the word is an English word. It's just like when she told me, I was like, I can't say it.
Jesse Lewin.
Yeah.
Jesse Olhorn.
Yesse is the first name for a start.
Yesse.
There you go. So that's the first name. We'll leave it like that because we're not. We both won't get the last name.
Yesse taking on Madaris Flaminius here at 170 pounds. This is a great fight.
Is this secretly fight of the night? Do you reckon?
This is my fight of the night personally. I'm really excited about this one. I love how both guys fight.
Finland Khabib. Hell yes. Oh my God, that's the best thing you could have said, mate.
You're holding. Yes, say you're holding. Taking on Madaris Flaminius. Hey man, I love the Latvian Express. I'll say this right away. This dude is awesome. He's
the guy got it right, by the way. My missus said it's like all holding.
Nice. Appreciate that. But Madaris, I'll talk about first here. 34 years old now, 9-3 out of Latvia, obviously. Bateman MMA. Coming off that huge win of Oban Elliott, where the dude just broke him. He broke Oban, and he finished him with some of the softest ground and pound you'll ever see to get a fight stopped. But Elliott was done. It was purely exhausted. Madaris just leached onto him, got him down, got him into the full mount. And all of a sudden, Oban was toast. Before that, losing to Jack Grant and Mike's brother Matthias, beating Mick Stanton. Very good win there. He's a good striker, good grappler, good leg kicks, deceptive power. He's He's who gave George Hardwick his one loss here. I mean, he's gonna have he's gonna have a tough time in this fight though against it's Finland Khabib. Jesse Urholin.
Not bad.
And 33 years old now is Jesse. So, but 8 straight wins for him, beating everybody in front of him. The Aaron Khalid fight, impressive. Dante Shiro off of on the regional scene with Cage. We know how good of a win that is now with how he's done.
Yeah.
Put away Jan, the Greek fighter in his last fight, who had 18 finishes and 18 wins. So definitely a dangerous opponent. It's interesting because we know what Jesse is going to do. He's going to go in there. He's going to go to stick to you, get you down, take you down round after round there. Medeiros is going to be at a size disadvantage there from a strength perspective, but length-wise, I think he's going to be a little longer. He's going to be a little quicker. But I do think he's going to be pressured by Jesse a lot in this fight. I think he's going to have a hard time getting space to get off his own offense. I don't see Jesse gassing in his fights so far. So, kind of the Oban had showed he's gassed in a few of his fights in his early career. So that was the route for Medeiros. I don't see that route for Medeiros, but I love this fight. Medeiros could turn this into a war. If he's able to, really implement some of his own striking, I could see him knocking out Jesse. Honestly, he's got really tricky and diverse striking, but he has to get into that rhythm first, which Jesse I don't see allows him to do. I think Jesse Khabibs him. Just takes him down, rinse and repeat, 15 minutes.
Yeah, he's going to be on him like glue, isn't he?
He always is.
Yeah, and where's the one hole in Flaminius' game? It's the grab. It's when it hits the mat, and it's
unless your opponent's gassed to no end like Oban was.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
which Jesse hasn't shown yet.
I think. Well, I'm going to say it now as well. Like Finland could finish Khabib. He's just. I really rate him. He's
we'll give
one of the
Moist
best.
Audio his credit here.
Yeah, absolutely. Moist Audio beast. I don't see him getting. Like Madar's getting him often, to be honest. Yeah. I think he's going to be controlled every way in the grappling against the cage. He's going to get tripped. He's going to get controlled. And I could even see like second, third round. Yes, it just controlling his neck and just,
I'm surprised this is on the prelims. I'll say that much.
So am I, to be honest, especially with the wins that Matters has. He's a very high level mixed martial artist even for cage. Like he should be close to the top, but I can understand it when you see the others. But as much as I love Adam, who's on next, I would expect this fight to be above that. So when you go through these fights, it's like, well, should it be higher? They're all so damn good and so close.
Yeah.
It's just
this is a great card. I agree.
This is a real
Adam Amundsinger. We're on to the bantamweight fight between Sam Spencer and Adam Amundsinger. Here, this is a great fight. I'll let you kick this one off because this is one of your favorite guys. So.
I could break it off with Adam because I adore Adam Amundsinger. I think last time out against Martigoni, obviously poked him in the eye in the second round. First round, I would actually, and I am incredibly biased, but I'm going to be incredibly neutral for this viewpoint because people bet money on your channel. Martigoni was winning that fight. He was outstriking him. He was out voluming, and I think he really caught Adam off guard. I don't know how the fuck Adam ever made flyweight.
No idea.
But he did. Dan convinced him to move up to 135 and has said that he struggles to take him down. Like middleweights are struggling to take Adam down now. His defense has got so good with, that was the one hole in his game really where he was getting controlled in the grappling. And we all know what, Dean's his older brother, so the grappling should have been, higher level anyway, but his striking is his bread and butter. He's an excellent kickboxer. He owns his own MMA academy in Windsor in England. He's an absolute savage. He's got some really unhealthy wins and losses where he's mixed 125 to 135, and I don't think he ever got that balance quite right. Now he's sticking with 135. I think beating someone like Sam Spencer is going to do a lot for him because Sam likes to strike, but he's not as clinical. He's not as technical. Right. He's more dynamic. Adam's more straight to the point. I'm going to hit you with the complete fundamentals done perfectly every time. Doesn't gas. Insane shit. Honestly, he is never out of shape. The guy's a physical specimen. So I expect him to come in here, high volume, high pressure, lighting him up, and you'll hear Dan Hardy shout from the corner like a cobra, where he'll just snap the shots, absolute snap. He doesn't load up. Everything's just like a snake with him. So I think Sam Spencer's in for a real tough time. I think to get him, he's going to have to work off the counter hooks. Adam absolutely can be caught. He's been finished, but the people he's been finished by are very high level with striking. I don't think Sam Spencer's quite on that level, but I think he's going to give him a real tough fight. I don't think Adam can finish Sam from what I've seen, and this is me being completely neutral. I'd love it to happen, but I think it will be a decision. I think Adam will win a decision.
Fair enough.
I can't do any more neutral than that.
Sam Spencer. I'm going to mostly focus on Sam Spencer here, and particularly on the losses. Coming to a level of competition, Paul McBain and Reese McEwen. So he's got a weakness against Scottish fighters. Unfortunately, Adam's on Scottish, so he can't rely on that. Double breakdown today. No, Zhongli, we're going to do the UFC breakdown later in the week. I'm going to do it later in the week. Figure that out. But Sam is pretty much a killer be killed guy. So he's gone to 2 decisions. Otherwise, he is finishing his opponent with strikes, or he's being finished with submission. I think this fight's mostly going to be on the feet, and I actually do agree. I think it's going to be pretty back and forth, actually, though. And I'm interested to see how Adam responds to adversity to fully be able to get the win, because right now I do think his confidence is going to be a little shaken coming into this one. And I am curious because 6-3 lost pretty decisively to Sam Creasy. I know that was at 125, and then the Martin Goney fight. Martin Goney's looked really good, but
Martin Goney's very good,
absolutely beating him up there. So, this is a spot where, to me, I don't rate Sam Spencer that highly, but he's dangerous. So if he gets to him before, we've just heard kind of what Brad was talking about coming off the knockout. I know it was 2 fights ago he's coming off the knockout, but it's 2 straight fights where he's gotten beat up and not really been able to recover from the striking. This one, obviously, the eye poke, but wasn't going his way if that continued. And then Sam Spencer, a lot of quick finishes on the record. To me, this is a spot where I do give the dog a decent chance in Sam Spencer, in all honesty. I think that he's going to come out cautioned to win. He's been 0-2 in Cage Warriors so far. I think the longer this fight goes, the more I favor Adam. So
I think, I agree with you. The first round, if he can, he's going to have to try and
first
steal.
round, in my opinion.
The second's going to be the pivotal round for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually say Sam Spencer gets that first round knockout. Adam here and breaks Lewis's heart.
Yeah,
I love Adam. I really do, and it's hard for me to go against it. I just have a weird feeling that Sam Spencer plays spoiler here to Adam.
I fucking hope not.
I'm not sure if I bet it at this price. I'm a little disappointed. Plus 150 on Sam Spencer, minus 180 for Adam. So I was expecting a little more of a difference there. It almost is where I'm just going to sit back and watch the fight at this point, because I would not, bet Sam at that cheap of a price.
I will say as well, I think Adam, for his career path at the moment, I think he needs to get a finish. I think getting a decision win over Sam Spencer it puts him in the same spot within Cage Warriors.
He'd be on the same spot on the card next time. You're right.
Exactly. Whereas if he finishes him, then he'll get bumped up and he can make his way through and learn a lot more against the higher level.
Yep, I agree. We're on to the next fight here. About halfway through the prelims here. And this is another one of our favorites, Tobias Harila, which I'm probably saying that wrong as well, and I apologize. But
it's the IKEA fight,
Yeah, we love Tobias. He's really fun to watch. Had his opponent pull out, so he did get a late notice replacement here. But keeping him on the card, I'll take it.
Can I quickly ask, would you have picked James Hendon? Or would you have picked Tobias for that?
I think I would have picked Tobias. I think Tobias would have hurt him. I don't think Hendon would have been able to wrestle. Tobias is huge. He's huge for featherweight. He's big for lightweight. And it's Tobias the serial killer, exactly.
I'll tell you what, you know his walkout where he walks out with the clown mask and the nun outfit.
Yep.
That's actually really fucking creepy live. It really is. It really is. It does work.
Yeah, 10-2. Bad intention, very good nickname because that's how he throws all his strikes. Coming off that big win of Decky McLean. That was a fight I favored Decky, and I looked stupid.
Yeah. I think we both said Decky could pull some trickery out in the second and third, and he just
Tobias just didn't allow that to get there. I mean, his power is just I think too
Legit.
much. He goes to war. He's a Muay Thai style fighter. William Gomez showed, if you grind him, you can possibly, but I'll put this really short and sweet. Samuel Bart, I wasn't impressed by what I was able to see. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that to his opponent here. Coming off of 2 straight split decisions, before that beating an 8-19, 0-0, and 1-0 opponent. Decent strikers, so I do think they're going to go in there and go to war, and Tobias is going to put him away around 1.
Yeah, if there's a firefight in this division, I favor Tobias over nearly all of them in just a straight firefight. Guy in the pocket technical boxing he hits like a truck. It's he doesn't hit like a featherweight. Yeah. I would favor the only people I wouldn't favor him against is someone probably like I think he's one step under. I think he's the level of Hendon, and then you've got Paul Hughes Eugenic. Mm-hmm. I think a really good fight actually would be like Morgan Charrier versus Tobias. That'd be
Tobias is a good fight with really anybody in the division.
Yeah. I really
he's a
think
minus 450 favorite. Minus 450 favorite here. No surprise there. Plus 350 on Samuel Bart. Tobias should go in your parlays, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Next fight. We're going through these a little quicker, but it's 15 fights, and we can only go so long.
3 left.
Nathan, only 3 or 4 left. Nathan Fletcher next here taking on Arik Durian. I'll go with Durian, sure. You guys don't come here for my pronunciation of names. I do my best, but whoops, I just sent that to the person. Whoops. But anyways, I just sent someone my timestamps because I was typing them in my. Someone's just gonna be like, "What the hell? 2 minutes, Augie. 10:59, Mick. Who the fuck is?" Anyway, bantamweight fight here. Arik here is 28-11 for the French fighter on Marseille Fight Club. Able to watch a little bit of tape on this guy. Lost his last fight coming into this with the Nuit des Champions. Got rear naked choked in November. Never like to see that. He was supposed to be fighting Helder Fernandez, who I've never heard of, with Octo Fight Volume 4, and now he's taking on Nathan Fletcher on short notice. He's getting wins mostly with his grappling and not over a great level of competition. He has faced nobody I've recognized in his whole career. And he doesn't have a lot of tape. Nathan Fletcher, super athletic guy here, 6-1, young in his career. Obviously got humbled by Dominic Wooding in the last fight. When he can over athletic his opponent, he's gonna cruise and be the hammer. When he can't, we saw what happened. Win over Michelle Martingoni, though. That's a huge win. Brian Bouland, another impressive win. Also
aged well, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, aged very well. Very good grappler as well. He's aggressive. I like Nathan Fletcher to get back on the winning track here. He's got a very winnable fight here. 24 years old. He's ever improving. Arik in his 30s. Didn't really love what I saw.
This is the easiest pick of the night for me, to be honest with you. I don't rate a single person.
Yeah,
that
30 fights,
Arik is actually
fights.
beaten. Yeah,
39 fights.
When you have had 34 pro fights and you're fighting someone 0-3, what is that? Right. That is a joke of an organization matchmaking.
French MMA, baby.
Yeah, French. Yeah, newly legal.
Yeah, exactly. 0-3 versus 30-11. Sure.
Yeah,
minus 600.
I remember when he was fighting Wooding, you messaged me saying, "You're on Nathan Fletcher, right?" And I went, bet Wooding, because I know the holes in Fletcher's game were the striking elements of where he rushes in too much, where he's just not fought that level of striker. Man, he's learned his lesson. He's taken the time off, which we both love.
Yep.
He's been knocked out bad, taken the time off,
Time off. Not going against the striking threat here. Not going against the striking threat.
Yeah, it's just
Arik has no striking.
No, he's gonna absolutely melt through Arik and just choke him out.
Minus 600
easy pick of the night for me.
Yeah, minus 600, nothing to talk about
there.
This fight might be my other fight of the night, to be honest with you, man.
What can you read the odds for this one first?
For Nagalas, Kanas,
and Will Curry, because I know you love Will Curry.
First of all, Smiling Boy versus Drago here. I am a new fan of Smiling Boy. I watched all his fights as a pro. I watched quite a bit of his amateur record. This guy's awesome. He is fun. He is physical. He's impressive on the feet, and his ground game is legit, man. His loss in his decision loss to a very good grappler. He had a deep armbar in that fight. A deep triangle. What's that?
Was it to Aliev?
Yes.
The Russian.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he had him in trouble in several spots there. And the striking of the Smiling Boy is very, very good. Will Curry is a minus 300 favorite to plus 240 here. I'll tell you right now, my money is I'm putting money on the dog here. This is my other fight of the night, to be honest. I think it's going to be an absolute war. Both these guys are physical specimens. They're both very young in their careers. Will Curry obviously had the Duncan fights, which, that sucks. But other than that, he's looking great. But I'm telling you, this Nagalas guy, he's the real deal, man. 21 years old out of Lithuania. I really think he's going to be a mainstay in Cage Warriors here. Putting him right up against another young guy and 23-year-old Will Curry. Last 2 fights getting the quick finishes there. Has a good triangle as well. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be on the feet. I rate Nagalas on the ground quite well. I think Will Curry is going to shoot for takedowns at points in this fight. I think Will Curry could get submitted. I think he could get knocked out, but I think that Nagalas is legit, man. I really like what I'm seeing.
Would you say they mirror each other quite a lot?
They do. My concern and why I understand why Nagalas is the underdog is he's coming off of a really not legit last one. Jacob Bele was really, really bad. And the way he got knocked out was quite questionable. So that's my reserve. But the Aliev fight, a great loss. I hate to say a great loss, but really good looking loss. And then, I mean, it's again, you see all the submission finishes, but he's really allowed his striking to develop here. And frankly, when I watched him, he looks like a Muay Thai first guy who's getting submissions after beating up his opponents for the most part. He's getting them from his back often. Yeah, he's getting him from his back often, but he's allowing his striking to make him comfortable or his grappling to get him comfortable in striking. Now, Will Curry is really, really, really good. And maybe he comes out here and starches Nagalas, and that still doesn't change my opinion about how Nagalas goes throughout his Cage Warriors career. This is a really tough start. I think he surprises everybody on Saturday night. He gets a big finish in some way or another. I could see it. I could really see it. So I think he's going to get a knockout, I'll say. So it'll be his second knockout of his career, second straight. I think that these two are really mirroring each other. Might go the distance also. But yeah, at plus 240, I love that price on Nagalas here.
I'll tell you why Will Curry's going to win.
Okay.
1, he's gone 5 rounds with Leroy Duncan. Okay. That's the first thing. We know how damn good Leroy is. Like, Christian Duncan is just fucking outrageous. He is so, so good. Will Curry against Patrick Valle. Now, you can say what you want against Valle. 40-year-old, whatever he was, 12-12, fine.
Right.
He walked into that cage and Will Curry immediately threw a front kick to the face. And before his foot returned to the floor, he threw a side kick, stomped again, hit him with the right hand. All in one motion. Like, it was the most weird, crazy combo.
Did you see Nagalas' last knockout?
Yeah, I did.
He basically did the same thing where it was like a leg kick punched at the same point almost.
It was just
crazy.
It's just
but
like
sketchy.
They're very comparable people, which is why.
Yeah, but who he knocked out, Valle would knock out that guy.
Yeah, but this could be a coming out party for Nagalas. Absolutely,
that's what I'm betting on. That's what I'm betting on.
But Will Curry's just, I don't know. There's something about this guy that is just. I think people are really intimidated by his look. I think they're intimidated about how explosive and athletic he is, and legitimately a mixed martial artist. You
could be talking about either one of these guys with that. I feel like both guys are really legit and huge. I mean, Nagalas is going to be bigger. He's 6'3". He's enormous.
They're both 6'3".
I thought Curry was 6'1" for some reason.
No, he's 6'3" as well. They're both they are like I stood next to Will Curry. He's
6'3",
I'm
21,
6 foot.
20. Yeah,
21. I'm 6 foot. Will Curry 6'3", and when I stood next to him, I was like, "You are not 6'3". Like I'm looking up.
He's a big 6.
These guys are just
Minus 300 for Will Curry. That's respect to Will Curry, and we'll see with Nagalas here.
So we're on opposite ends for this one. You're Nagalas and Will Curry.
I got Nagalas.
I disagree with the odds though. I'm with you on that. The odds should be closer. They should be close.
Great middleweight fight, one of the best fights of the night. We got 2 more here on the prelims, and then we obviously covered the main card already. Reese Mcewen versus Kingsley Crawford, another one that could potentially be fight of the night, to be honest, because Kingsley Crawford is fighting, so it can be fight of the night because Kingsley Crawford rules. But I also really like Reese Mcewen. I think this is a good matchup of styles here, and should be a good one. Kingsley, though, one of my favorites here. Ton of great experience as an amateur and a pro. Silent assassin, 8-3 now. He's won 3 straight. He's really coming into his own. The Aiden James fight, he looked phenomenal. Getting that quick choke finish. Had the quick choke finish of Adam Wilson. Liam Giddens, he absolutely broke and crumbled. His loss to Ben Ellis, no shame there. On Welsh Khabib. Again, he loses fights against guys who grind him. James Hendon, Ben Ellis. Otherwise, he gets into a rhythm, works his stand-up beautifully, and implements the grappling really nicely when his opponents start to try to wrestle. And we know Reese, in my opinion, I feel Reese is going to wrestle in this fight. Can he have the success? That will be the question. Coming off the big rear naked choke of Sam Spencer at the end of an awesome fight between the two of them. Before that, got armbarred, and then 3 straight wins against low levels of competition. So with Reese here, I really like he came off that war. Luke Westwood, a very good fighter as well. But Kingsley, to me, just is much more well-rounded. And I do think that ends up being the key, I think, in a fight that most likely goes to the decision. I think the grappling cancels each other out. I think Kingsley's the better striker, but I think he's going to be more concerned with keeping the fight where he wants to than going for the finish. So I do like Kingsley Crawford to get a decision win here.
I think you've nailed it, to be honest, mate. I think the fact that Kingsley's more well-rounded is the key here. It's a bit more one-dimensional, easy to plan for Reese, from what I've seen anyway. But saying that, his wrestling is seriously good.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now the odds before you keep going, because now I'm concerned, because I don't think Kingsley is a massive favorite. He's minus 400.
He's minus 400. Maybe that's because Aiden James was so pushed into that event, and then he just anaconda.
Yeah, but it was a 90-second win. You didn't see him come back from adversity.
Well, he knocked him down first. So he showed
but it's like if Reese Reese is going to go in and grapple, and the way that Kingsley's been beat is by going in and grappling and grinding him. So
the grindiness of Liam Gittins, that's another one, isn't it? So
no bet for me from this one, because I don't think minus 400.
That's outrageous. But Kingsley should win, but that is a sprinkle. If you're confident, if you're a Reese Mcewen fan, sprinkle some, because that is.
Yeah. So you open at minus 260. And of course, Kingsley gets lots of love. He's always going to. Now he's getting the results with the looks and how he fights. Minus 260 makes sense. Minus 400, I can't bet it.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, decision for Kingsley. But if he keeps showing that he's got that power to go with the grappling, that's going to be a future title contender really quickly, maybe by the end of the year. Yeah. Who knows? But I like Kingsley. I don't like that price. That's too bad. But final prelim of the night, it's a feature prelim, and this is another one that's going to be an absolute war. And another, we're going to be broken records here, but another one of our favorites, Steve Aimable. At least one of my favorites, I'll speak for.
I love Steve.
I've liked him since I've been watching Cage Warriors as long as I can remember. And favorite besides, obviously, Brad Wheeler, we're saying.
I used to get MMA classes from Jeremy Petley.
Great. Well, I want to hear about those in a minute. So, but 17-8 versus 14-9, 2 veterans. It's hard to believe that Diddy Kong is now almost 35 years old. He's just one of those guys who just looks like he's in his 20s. He just looks young. I don't know if it's the colorful attire and the funny hair or what it is, but
and he's called Diddy Kong.
Yeah, and he's called Diddy Kong. Kind of surprised he's almost 35 years old though. 3 straight wins for him, 5-7. But fight's very long. Knocked out our boy Tom Mearns to start out this run. This 3 straight wins. Edward Walls, a fight where I had Edward Walls. Aimable showed that he could really handle a very physically strong and big opponent, and then beating Walter Cogliandro by flying guillotine, a 10-1 opponent in his last fight.
Steve, split decision. Has he got a split decision win?
He lost to split the Vucenic, but that's it. Otherwise, he won by unanimous against Decky, won by unanimous against Aiden Steven, knocked out Mearns, unanimous over Walls. So not sure why he's split decision Aimable for Moise. But yeah, either way, pretty exciting fighter, especially in this last run here. Was supposed to face Hendon back in March. He's now matched up with the Canadian Petley, Ninja James Petley here. Very, very strong, stocky 145er at 5'8", 14-9-1, coming off a win in Z Thomas with Contenders 31 in October. Got knocked out by Aiden Lee over in Bellator. Really good fight there. Before that end, no shame there. Has a win over Monarch as well as Tom Mearns with Bellator and Chase Morton, Bellator mainstay. Losses coming to, decent guys. Andre Winter's okay, but Nad Narimani, Yael Durian, just he's been around for a long time.
Fought a lot of good guys. Yeah.
A lot of good guys. Towards the end here at 38 years old. He's going against a 35-year-old. I think this is going to be a really exciting fight. These guys match up really well with each other. They cancel each other out in a lot of ways. I think that mostly it's on the feet. I think it's a pretty close fight, though. But I'll go with Steve Aimable. I like how he's been looking in this latest run. I didn't see Petley's last fight, so I didn't see how he improved from the Aiden fight. The Aiden fight was a very good fight, but he was just a step behind with Aiden in that fight. Just kind of throughout, but good fight. This one also a very close one. Wouldn't be running to a window for Steve Aimable here, but I think he's just a little bit better and wins the decision.
Couldn't agree more, to be honest. Like Jeremy Petley to me he's just aged out. I think he never hit that stride, that run. His decisions were very close a lot of the times. He's not a finisher by any means. There's not one particular thing he's great at. He's just a decent, well-round, mixed martial artist. He's. It doesn't sound his topology for anyone that wants to know. He's the MMA coach at Fight Factory in Old Street in London, which is where I knew him from. I did not like that gym at all, personally for me, but he runs a good program down there. Got a lot of amateurs that are decent. Including he's helped train as well, like Kate Bassick, who fought on Fight Star last week. So there's some really good people down there. But I just think his time. I think he's very lucky to get this fight to start with. He was meant to be fighting Tobias Harila when Hendon pulled out, and then Hendon was meant to be fighting Steve Aimable, and then it's like however long ago, and he had to pull out obviously because Hendon got to fight Vucenic when I went last time. The Vucenic fight was actually really close when Aimable fought Vucenic. He implemented really good kicking game, controlled him in the clinch, but then Vucenic kind of mixed it up and took him down. He was actually getting outworked in the stand-up, and I think Steve doesn't get enough credit for his work rate because he pushes a pace that many can't keep up. And what Jeremy does is he fades. You saw against Aiden Lee, faded heavy in that third round where he was a step behind, as you say, for the first two, which is no shame. Aiden Lee's very high level.
Yes.
But in that third round, you could see his guard was slipping. He was gassing. He was breathing heavy. And that's when the head kick opened up. And I don't think Steve Aimable was going to finish him. I do think Jeremy's a tough guy. I think he's a bit chinny at this stage, but Steve's not known for a one-shot knockout power. He's known as the high volume guy, the guy that's going to.
He wasn't known as a flying guillotine guy either.
That is true, and he did knock out Tom Mearns. So, it could happen, but I just think Steve's going to push a pace that Jeremy's not going to be able to handle. He's going to be a step behind, and he's going to win a really good decision. But should be a great fight.
Yeah,
I think if Jeremy does lose as well, we should probably hang the gloves on it.
Yeah, and that's going to do it. We had the main card at the beginning of the fight breakdown with Brad Wheeler, record holder for most Cage Warriors appearances. So if anybody knows what fighting Cage Warriors is like, it's him. So definitely go check out those at the beginning. Shout out to Brad. He's getting ready for another fight. He's always fighting somebody. And I don't know why I thought he fought Jim Wallhead, but I hope he does eventually because I'd love to see that fight.
Me too.
But either way, shout out to Lewis for making that connection there. Norton MMA. Go check him out. He's got pretty much the whole UFC card, if not the whole UFC card, up on his channel by the end of the week, right?
For London, I think there's 8 fights on there. I'm not going to get all of them done. So the ones I'm missing are going to be like Mandy Bohm and Dolby.
Right. And I'll cover those. And I'll be covering those this week.
Check out your channel for those sort of fights. Yeah.
Yep, Lewis started a new channel or a new job this week, so shout out to Lewis with that. But we made the choice we're going to do the Bellator together, so probably on Wednesday for that. UFC, most likely Tuesday, but I might do a solo show Thursday. We'll see if I can get a co-host. But that will do it for the breakdown today. I want to thank everybody in Moist Audio. Thank you for the finish lesson, Zhang Li. Appreciate you, Kelly. Keep killing it, man. He had some big hits this weekend, including Ricky Simone, which I should have listened to you on. So my mistake there. And Lewis also agrees that more Ricky Simone. We're big Ricky Simone guys.
Ricky did well, man. Ricky did really well.
He did really well. But that'll do it for the breakdown. We'll see you on Wednesday for Bellator, Tuesday or Thursday for UFC. Turn on the notifications and you'll know.